Welcome back, or welcome to the Tiny Shifts podcast. I'm your host, Andy Nunn. This is episode 3. Really glad we've made it this far. This is a podcast about how the mind actually works and how small changes can create a big impact in your life. Each episode, I'm going to break down one idea. So this can be from psychology, neuroscience, philosophy, and it's my goal to turn it into practical tools that you can use straight away. I'm not here for any hype, motivational quotes, or, any sort of easy systems, even though I will provide some systems. But if you're looking for something that's going to be easy and you can just slot into your life, you're probably in the wrong place. The tools that I offer are going to take quite a bit of effort. They'll challenge how you think, and sometimes you will feel uncomfortable with some of this stuff. And I think that's kind of the point. You just want to be just outside of that comfort zone. So my goal isn't to sort of pump you up or anything. I'm not going to David Goggins you through these podcasts. It really is, though, to help you get out your own way, sort of understand your own mind. I want to help you rethink what you know and just sort of see your thoughts and your mind from a different perspective. I know from my own lessons and learning about magic, learning about the mind, and spending 20 years doing mentalism and just my journey through mental health, I've learned so much about my brain, and I'm just so curious about it. And if I can share my insights and what I've learned, and if you get one idea from this, I've done my job. That's basically it, really. My goal this year is to reach as many people as possible with some of these ideas. I want to help as many people with these tiny shifts. It can only grow from people like you listening and you sharing it. So if there is something that you find useful in this podcast, can you please subscribe, leave a comment, but more importantly, just share it with somebody who might need it. I've already had a few people reach out saying that the first 2 episodes have helped them a lot, changed their perspectives about a few things, which, yeah, it makes it all worthwhile. I didn't really expect, my expectations were pretty low with this. And I'll be honest, I know it's really hard. There's so many people starting podcasts now, and I'm pretty late. I should have done it 10 years ago, but that's okay. But these people that have taken their time, people I don't know either, who have listened to this, it's remarkable. And I'm really grateful already that I have made an impact. This episode is following on. So the first 4 weeks of this are all going to be around about habits. And the first 2 episodes were about the habits, the foundation of habits, how to form a habit. I basically broke down James Clear's process. And then the second episode was about procrastination and fear and how our emotions get in the way of our habits, basically. Episode 3 is an interesting one. I was going to start with this because I think mindfulness is probably one of the most important tools that you can have. Because to build habits, you have to be mindful. The act of building a habit is mindfulness, really. And we're going to look at in this episode of what's going on when you're trying to do mindfulness, why it matters, and how it can quietly shape your life, shape the way you think and you act over time, and some misconceptions around mindfulness. And hopefully by the end of this, you're going to have a bunch of tools that you can, if you're not already doing, you can use them to improve your mindfulness, improve your mental health. And I'll be giving you these tools at the end. These are things that I use. So anything that I recommend today will be stuff that I use. And I've used so many different things, but I will explain why they work, why they don't work, and we'll go into detail. Anyway, so let's begin. So what is mindfulness? Well, mindfulness is very, very simple definition. Mindfulness is awareness. Now, when I first started learning about mindfulness, I basically went into meditation. And my first idea of meditation or mindfulness was to clear your mind, to clear your thoughts. And I remember sitting there the first time listening to an audio of meditation, and it was saying you had to count down from 10 to 1 and using your breath as an anchor. And I was closed my eyes and started counting. And then he went 1, and basically what had happened, I don't even think I made it to 9, and my brain had like drifted off to something stupid. And then the meditation was over because I'd just been captured by my thoughts. So yeah, that was what, and I was like, this is terrible. Well, I'm terrible at mindfulness, so let's just not do that. And I think that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people experience it. They try meditation. They don't like what they experience because it is quite uncomfortable. And then they give up, and then they move on. And then they're like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But hopefully today I'll clarify a few things for someone who started off like that, who didn't see any value in it initially, or was a bit silly, thought it was a bit new age sort of hippie stuff that I was like, that's not really me. But I went through it because there's a lot of, spiritualism sort of tied to mindfulness, which some people don't like, some esoteric stuff. But there's some unbelievable research in terms of meditation and mindfulness and how that can help you in your life. Anyway, we'll keep going. So I want you to think about what mindfulness is and what isn't. It's basically just noticing what's happening. So let's try this for a sec. I would like you for a few seconds, as long as you're not driving, to just sit with your arms on your lap and just take a few breaths. And I would recommend closing your eyes. Close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath in and out. And with your eyes closed, I just would like you to notice the sensations of your body, the thoughts that come to your mind. And when you notice a thought, don't try and push it away. Just notice it and see what happens and watch that thought just like a cloud just disappear. And just focus on your breath. If it helps, just find a point where you can feel it. It can be your chest, it can be your nose. And just focus on it. If it helps, you can count, maybe from 5, 4, 2, and 1. Well, that was it. I just want you to think about what you felt during those moments. I know I didn't give you any pause time. That was just a short demonstration of noticing your feelings and your emotions and, where you're sitting. And just think about the thoughts that came and gone, and what your mind did then. How did you respond? How did you react? What were your emotions like? Because mindfulness isn't about eliminating thoughts. It's not about eliminating emotions. You don't want to try and fix anything. It's not about judging. It's about equanimity. It's about not responding. So just be neutral. So if something's good or bad, it's neither good or bad. It just is. So it's not about emptying your mind. It's not positive thinking. It's not relaxation. It's just about noticing what's happening in your life or in your mind or in your sensations. It's being deliberate. And that is mindfulness in a nutshell. And there is many different tools in order to train mindfulness, which we're going to go into today. But I just want you to think about that and how you felt. And we're going to expand on this. So again, you're not training to calm your mind. You're not training to get rid of thoughts. You're training to notice your thoughts, to pay attention. Because once you start to notice your thoughts and start to notice your emotions, you can then decide and make a decision. You can decide how to react after it. You can realize that thoughts don't need to be taken as truth. So you can begin to understand what you do just before a moment when it happens. So mindfulness has helped me, especially with ADHD. I would react emotionally, really get flooded, basically. My amygdala would come online and it would be over small things and I'd be very dramatic. And mindfulness has enabled me to pause. I still feel those emotions, but I can feel them coming, and I can just ease through them and just sit with them. I don't need to respond. I don't need to make it worse. I don't need to say the thing that's going to make it worse. And I've said and done some terrible things, upset some people, upset myself from reacting. And mindfulness has enabled me to have that pause, increase the time from stimulus to response. What I do between that is really important. And mindfulness is that. How do you act between stimulus and response? The more you can widen that gap, the more space you can create, the better the decisions that you can make. So I want you to think about that, because mindfulness is so, so important. Okay, so what does the research say about mindfulness? Basically, it's pretty good. A lot of it just says it strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which I've spoken about in the previous 2 episodes. That is your rational part of your brain. It's your thinking brain. Enables you to make quick decisions, or good decisions, not quick. And it quietens down your amygdala. So a lot of the research is from meditation, and the practice they use is pretty basic. They sit for 10 minutes, eyes closed, and thoughts appears, emotion appears, and it's just about bringing your attention to them and just allowing them to come and go, bringing your attention. And that's just a practice. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. I'm not a meditation teacher. I would suggest you use some apps like Waking Up. It's an app that I use daily. I do about 10 minutes each day. And that's just a practice, and it's guided meditation. So there's different sort of structures to each one. You do metta, which is the love and kindness, which I quite like. And there's loads of other, like Vipassana is insight meditation. There's loads of different types. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. There's some breathing ones as well. A lot of them come with a bit too much hype. Like Wim Hof is a form of meditation, I guess. It's quite intense, but I've used it and it's very effective. Other techniques are things like labeling emotions. I think this is Matthew Lieberman. He did some incredible research about this, and just about noticing your emotions and label them. So I used this on Headspace initially. So this is one of the first sort of tools that I went through. I think it was like a 30-day training that you could do about labeling. Initially, you would say thought, something's a feeling, that's emotion. And then you can break down your sort of emotions, and you can start writing what type of emotion it is. Most people's language around emotions is pretty small. It's like I'm happy, sad, angry, and you can broaden this, start to notice certain emotions that you have to give you a better understanding of it. And that will enable you to be more present. It takes the power away from the emotion it's like name it, tame it, they say. It's a really good tool, especially around anxiety and things like this. So why did I get into mindfulness? I was 27 when I had my first anxiety attack. And prior to that, it's so stupid now when I think about it. I didn't think I had mental health issues, which is crazy. When I look back now, it's obvious for many years that I was dealing with something and hadn't tended to it. And it came upon me in work. So I was in the office. I remember we were watching, at the time I was raising money for charity. And this was a UNHCR training session. So it was quite intense video footage we were watching about refugees. But all of a sudden, it felt like my vision just narrowed. Tightness around my chest. You watch these movies like Star Wars, for instance, you see Darth Vader grabbing people by the throat and you see them choking. That's how I felt. And my heart just hurt and the tension everywhere. And I was panicking. I was breathing, hyperventilating. I had to get out the room. I went into a room by myself and I was dizzy and I nearly fainted. And I went straight to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. and I got put onto an ECG. I got tested straight away, and the doctor comes into me and she says, "Everything's normal. Your heart's fine." And I was like, okay, how? And considering, like, in my mind, I was shocked because the way I felt like 30 minutes before, I was certain this was serious. I did blood tests and everything like that. But in the end, the doctor said to me, "Have you considered seeing a psychologist?" And I remember being taken back a little bit, being like, psychologist, I need to go to therapy. I realize now I was so closed off to that. So my mindset was just so fixed. Yeah, I don't know, I was closed off to it, and I think that sort of level of conviction I had that my mind was okay, and who am I? Why would I ever get therapy was a bit silly. Because now I know it's just as important going to the doctor if you've got a cold. If you've injured yourself running, going to a therapist when you're not mentally feeling great is such a good tool. And it's a shame that there's still such a stigma attached to it. And I was part of it. But to be honest, my anxiety was so bad. I mean, when it captured me, it really captured me. So after the doctor's appointment, I did the worst thing possible. I went onto Google and I Googled anxiety. And what happens when you have anxiety and you start to do this? You go through all the symptoms, and then, as if by a miracle, those symptoms start to appear. So I went from having, just the chest pains and breathing and numb face and all this sort of stuff to so many other symptoms. And I began to spiral over a few months. It got really, really bad. I was having to take time off work, struggling to go outside. Speaking to people in public was really hard. Speaking to strangers was impossible. I just ignored them. And my job was, I was in sales, I was managing teams. I was speaking to strangers. I did cold calling, it's like, how is this happening to me now? So I decided I had to try and do everything. So initially I went onto some medication, but that just made me feel like a zombie. I booked in for a psychologist, and it was an interesting experience. Like, my first psychologist probably wasn't the best for me. It was in Hyde Park, a very fancy office. I don't think we had the same sort of background and same sort of life. And I think if you are going to have a psychologist and you're going to tell them about how you feel and what you do, I think they need to, not all the time, but I think it's important that you feel that you can relate to them a little bit. But again, there was I thought that going to a therapist, they were just going to give me some stuff to do and I was going to be fine. But I began to realize that nobody was going to fix this for me. Nobody was going to fix this for me. I had to do this myself. If I wanted to sort out this anxiety, it was my responsibility. And I decided that I was going to do it. I was going to figure out what to do. So the time I picked up a few books, Eckhart Tolle or Dan Harris, a bunch of books on meditation. I read that mindfulness was a really good tool. And I started trying it instantly. I was downloading the apps, going through all of them each day, journaling. And yeah, the first few times meditating, I was just like, it just made everything worse. I was noticing more I was engaging with my body, and the anxiety got louder, not quieter. And this wasn't what the books were saying. It was saying that I was going to get better. What's the best thing you would read? What's the best thing for anxiety? Mindfulness, meditation. It just seemed to make me worse. And what I wish I could go back and tell myself back then and have someone to teach me to go through the sort of process of what to do when you're feeling overwhelmed and what mindfulness actually is and why you are the way you are. And, you know, I was in an anxious state. I was obviously overwhelmed on a constant basis. I didn't know how to fix it, and I was just trying my best. And the mindfulness tools isn't about clearing your mind. It's not about making you better. It's about building clarity. So I went through that process. I did what I could. Over months, it began to slowly quieten. My thoughts in my head began to quieten. And each and every day, over time, things got better. And I wish I could tell myself back then that, don't worry, this is only going to be temporary. And that's part of mindfulness, part of meditation is the whole idea that thoughts and emotions, they come and go. Just remember that. So I continued that sort of process. I continued to see a psychologist for a number of years. Meditation became a big practice. Daily, I'll do 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. I probably clocked over, 1,000 hours on the Headspace app. And in the end, I ended up doing a 10-day silent retreat, which was a lot more intensive. So you do 10 days of sitting on the floor. So this is probably about 4 or 5 years later. Anxiety is sort of really quieting down. I haven't had a panic attack. Yeah, there were so many things that I did at the time, but they're all part of the mindfulness. It was about becoming aware of my mind, aware of my thoughts. Who am I? What are these emotions? Building an emotional language, understanding how my mind sort of responds and acts, understanding my ADHD, understanding my anxiety, understanding depression, understanding all these things about myself, which I'd basically ignored for years. And what I'd done, and if you're thinking about your situation right now, think about when you're stressed and when you're anxious or something bad happens, or you're just feeling a little bit uncomfortable. What is your armor? What is your choice? How do you soothe yourself? If it's watching movies, if it's eating food, drinking alcohol, and you're just hiding away from your emotions, then they're going to come back and they're going to come back 10 times bigger and stronger, and you're not going to understand them because it's not going to be in the moment. So mindfulness is about addressing them in real time. So over time, you can sort of deal with your emotions. You build an emotional language, you understand, you notice things, and you don't try and push them away. You don't try and hide away from your emotions. You just realize that's just the way they are. And it's about removing these negative self-soothing techniques that you have. So the lessons of 10 years of practice, like I say, lesson number 1, mindfulness isn't about clearing the mind. It's about seeing clearly. And lesson number 2, getting swept away is completely normal. So if you start doing it and you think for 10 minutes, that's fine. That's still a success. Come back the next day. Just keep doing it. Over time, you get better. So now I can go a few minutes without a thought coming into my mind and just staying quite relaxed. It's incredible because I can do half a second 10 years ago. Lesson number 3, self-criticism makes everything worse. So if you do get swept away and you start going, oh, I'm such an idiot. No, that's just part of it. It's the way your mind works. And key lesson number 4, thoughts and emotions pass. So like I say, in that moment, I didn't realize, but you have to realize that no matter how intense something is or how bad it is, it's going to go. And that understanding is so important when you're going through a hard time. The way you're feeling right now with this problem, whatever that problem is, in a year's time, you might not even remember what the problem is. And it's when you think about it like that, it's quite remarkable. Okay. And here's 5 habits to improve your mindfulness. So, habit number 1, remove the phone from your bed. Do not have your phone in your bedroom. Just completely get rid of it. Put it into a different room at night, unless you 100% need it. And that's if you are on call because someone might die. If there's no other reason, don't use it. You can get an alarm in your room, but your phone is a distraction. There's some interesting research. Even if your phone is on silent or face down, part of your brain is still thinking about it. So number two, reduce your phone time. However much you use your phone, reduce it. And there's some ways to do this. There's some apps. So I use ClearSpace. So this is a great tool. It's got my phone use down from like 3 or 4 hours a day to less than an hour. I think I consider when I post on Instagram, I use Instagram on average 10 minutes a day, about an hour over a week. And it's just enabled me to sort of focus my attention in other areas. And one big thing is number three is one task at a time. So this app, ClearSpace, has helped with this. I don't pick up my phone as much. If I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to sit and watch a movie. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read a book. I'm not going to sit and have my phone do multiple things at the same time. If I'm going to go on a run, I go on a run. I've even tried to remove the music from it and just really be in the moment when I'm doing it and just get bored, start thinking through your problems, thinking through your emotions. Stop trying to distract yourself at every given moment. Okay. One task at a time. Next one, journaling. So I used The Artist's Way by Julian Cameron, which is morning pages. I heard about this on the Tim Ferriss podcast. It's a great tool. You basically there's no structure to it. It's just write for 3 pages or shorten it if you have to, and just do it every single day. And you'll find the clarity and getting your emotions. And it's a great way to sort of help through a difficult time. Last but not least is meditation practice. Learn to meditate. Meditation helps in other areas of your life. So the practice of noticing bleeds through into each and every moment, but it takes time. I don't know when the moment was when I began to stop living so much inside of my head, when I could feel my sort of emotions properly. I could experience a moment without judging it. I remember, if you look at a good example is scuba diving. So for many years, I was so trapped when I'd scuba dive. I wanted to do it. I wanted to love it, but I was just constantly narrating inside of my head, worrying, criticizing myself. But now I can sit in an hour underwater at peace. And I don't know when that cutoff happened. It's the same with running. I can run and just be with my own thoughts for such a good time and, a couple of hours and just be at peace. And I'm truly grateful for that. And I honestly think a lot of it is down to my meditation practice that I've done over the years. And it's not about being perfect. So some weeks I miss completely. I don't meditate at all. But other weeks I meditate every day. It's just about making it work, doing the best you can and trying to show up. And why does any of this matter right now? I should have probably mentioned this at the beginning, but we live in a world now where our attention is being captured. It's a currency. All these companies are fighting for your attention. And the way they do it is by making you feel uncomfortable, creating discomfort, creating pain. I say pain is probably the wrong language, but it's the way marketing works. It creates some sort of gap of need or want that you have to try and fill. So you end up buying things that you don't want. It captures your attention from your loved ones, from your family, from the moments that matter. When we get stressed, we look for these dopamine hits. I know I do. And it's so easy with the social media and the phone in your pocket. And I use my phone all the time. Okay. And it's a great tool, but you need to take control of it. You need to take control of how you use your phone. And I say this because I think it's only going to get worse. These algorithms are getting smarter. Instagram right now is a mess, absolute mess. I'm scrolling through Instagram and all I'm seeing is all these awful ads, everyone trying to sell you something. Nothing's inspiring. It's all trying to tell me that everyone's doing a course on how to do this, how to do that. People are giving me courses on how to grow their Instagram following when they have less followers than me. And I don't have that many. It's a crazy world that we live in, that everyone thinks because of ChatGPT, I can't even say it, that they're now a teacher, a coach. And it's a horrible world of social media that we're in. And we have to choose what we do. And I've decided that I'm going to put my focus on Substack. And the reason I'm doing that is there's no ads on there at the moment. And it's a clean space for me to get my information from the people that I want. Okay. And I think we need to make smarter choices about our social media use. I've been pretty good. I've stayed away from the reels. I've stayed away from the videos. It does mean that my growth on Instagram and stuff hasn't been that great because I only spend 10 minutes a day on it. I've made 150 posts since I've had it for 8 years, which isn't very much, or 200 posts now, I think. I have been successful without it. I am starting social media now when I'm already one of the most successful in the country at what I do. So if you think you need it for your business, it's not true. There's other ways around it. And as long as you deliver a good service and a good job, you can always rely on people selling your services for you. That is the best way to market yourself. Be the best at what you do and treat people like humans, be nice to them. And you'll find that you don't need to spend endless hours on social media. And if you're not using social media for business purposes, but for pleasure, then I think you need to think about this. And this is the rocking chair test. When you're in your 80s or 90s and you're looking back on your life, how do you think your 90-year-old self, what bit of advice would they give to you right now about your social media use? Would they tell you to be on it more, less? What would they tell you to do with your time if you could speak with them right now? Think about that, because whatever that is, you need to do it. The more you put it off, the longer you put it off, the harder it gets. So mindfulness is hopefully going to be a tool that you can start implementing straight away. It's just about noticing. You don't have to sit. You can be mindful and walk, but don't take your headphones with you. Just feel your emotions, and you're going to feel uncomfortable at first. You're going to have these emotions and worries, things you haven't dealt with. That's why I recommend pairing it with a journaling practice, because it enables you to get your thoughts out, and building a narrative around your emotions is really important. It's shown to really integrate how you feel and create a better link between your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex. And it's been shown to stop your brain getting flooded with emotions. If you can increase that pause, you can improve so many areas of your life. It's a bit shorter today, but I hope I got all the points out. And thank you again for taking your time. This was a topic that means a lot to me, and it's changed my life. It's hard to know. The problem with mindfulness is you don't know at what point it's beneficial. You don't know how long you should be doing it. And people want answers. People want, how many minutes a day do I need to do? I can't give you that answer. All I can say is stick at it. It's better than what you're probably doing right now, but it's just noticing and just being present. Thank you so much. And again, if you found this useful, please share it with anyone. And I'll see you next week.